Hello, welcome to the Kitchen Spy. My name is Kate. I hope this video finds you safe and well, and it's a recipe video this time as it's Sunday, and this is a really super easy recipe. This is for a vegetarian recipe called Tian. Now Tian is a French derived name, and it actually refers to the type of pot that it's cooked in, but it's always a vegetarian dish, and this is going away from the traditional version of it really, because this has got rice in it, and mainly the ingredients in the ones that I've seen before anyway are courgettes or zucchini, so I've used rice here and I've used spinach, but whichever way you do it and whatever ingredients you use, it's really simple, really tasty, and quite low calorie as well. So let's have a look at the ingredients we need to make it. Okay, so here they are, all fairly basic stuff. So what I've got here is 15 grams of Parmesan cheese, that's just to go on the top, and this is actually been really finely grated, and it's amazing, it always amazes me how much 15 grams of Parmesan looks like. Then I've got 1 tablespoon of breadcrumbs here. These are just ready shop bought ones, and these are gluten free from Asda. Then a couple of eggs, then 1 medium onion which has been chopped, and 2 quite chunky cloves of garlic because we like garlic, and then a teaspoon of dried herbs. If you've got fresh herbs you can use them, this is just mixed dry herbs. And then what I've got here is 150 grams of Gruyere cheese, and I've chopped it into little chunks. Now you could grate it if you wanted to, but I quite like the fact that by chopping it into chunks you get these little kind of nuggets as you go through the recipe and you're eating it. Then I've got 6 of these pellets, bullets, packs, I don't know what they're called. Anyway, 6 of these pieces of frozen spinach, but of course you can use fresh if you've got it. And then, as you know, I use this microwave rice because it's just really good for portion control and simple. So if you're not using this, this equates to 250 grams of cooked rice, or 1 of these packs. Then 400 grams of stock, just made with a stock pot, and then salt and pepper. I also forgot to show you some tomatoes which go in there, and I will show you those in a while. Okay, so over on the stove I've got a pan, just a fairly wide based pan, and I'm just adding into that the onions which was chopped, and I've also now minced the 2 cloves of garlic, as you can see, and I'm not using any oil, so this is super low calorie and saves on fat. And then I'm just popping the stock in and just mixing that all together, and what we need to do is just boil that away, bubble it until it comes up to a kind of rolling boil. So I'm just making sure here that everything's mixed together and that the stock pot is actually ready to dissolve. So as I said earlier, I forgot to show you some tomatoes, and what we need is about 15 cherry tomatoes, just cut in half as I've done here. Yes, sorry, I forgot to put them out when I was showing you the ingredients. So we just need to bring this to a boil, and then when it's started to boil, then just pop in the spinach. And if you've got fresh spinach, just make sure that it's clean and been washed, and then you can just put this in at the same time. And the frozen spinach takes a wee while to just break down into the onions, but it does it eventually, and then you'll be left with a kind of almost gloopy mess here. And as you can see, most of the stock has disappeared. Some of it of course will have evaporated with the steam, but a lot of it, the flavours have gone into the onion and the garlic and the spinach. And like I said, this recipe is really super easy. Then when all of the stock has dissolved or evaporated, we can start putting the other things in. So what you've got in the pan is all of the vegetables, and they are now in a kind of fairly dry but syrupy base. And then we just pop the rice in. Now I did actually ping that in the microwave for a couple of minutes just to start the process, so that I wasn't putting a cold pile of rice into the vegetables. If you're cooking your rice from scratch, then clearly you will have drained it and it will be still quite warm. So we put the rice in and stir that around, and then put the dried herbs in as well. And again, you can use any herbs you want to. Actually, I think mint might be nice in here as well, because it's got just such a lovely fresh flavour, but I've just used mixed herbs. And I'm also going to season it fairly well. Obviously, we've got quite a few not very highly flavoured ingredients in here with the rice and the spinach, etc. So you want to make sure that it is seasoned really, really well. So miss salt out if you don't want to, because obviously we've got the stock in there, but please don't miss the pepper out. It's definitely needed for the flavour profile. Then I've made this recipe a few times, and I've always used mozzarella cheese before, but this time I thought I'd try Gruyere, which is actually more of a traditional way of doing it. So what I've done here is I've probably put about 100 grams of the cheese into the pan, and I've left about 50 grams on top, so about 2/3 in and 50 which will go on to the top. And then again stir that through. So the Gruyere gives a stronger flavour than the mozzarella, and both of them are really beautiful melty cheese. So what you get when this is actually cooked is that the chunks of Gruyere start to melt, and because it's in chunks rather than just grated, actually you get like little nuggets of melted cheese as you're eating it. It really is very lovely indeed. And then we just need to put the eggs in. So I've just mixed those eggs together, just given them a good old whisk so that they're all combined yolk and white. And then I'm just mixing this all the way through the rice. So at this stage it looks fairly gloopy and not very promising, but I promise you it is a really, really lovely recipe. It's really quick to do and really good cold as well the next day, or you can reheat it as well. So here's the tomatoes that I forgot to show you earlier. So I'm just popping those in, and again mixing them all the way through the rest of the ingredients. And again, as you're eating this, the tomatoes give you a real like little burst of flavour as you're eating it, and you can experiment with whatever vegetables you like in here, obviously. So then what we need to do is transfer the mixture to a dish. So I haven't got whatever a traditional Tian is, but what I have got is this dish, and I think I got it from Waitrose originally. I didn't realise it was chipped on the bottom, but I can see there it is. And it's a really useful serving dish. I tend to use this on the table if I'm doing a meal where we've got guests or something, because I like to just put everything in the middle of the table, and this is one of a number of bowls I've got that I use to serve things in, but it's also oven proof, dishwasher proof and microwave proof, so it can go in the oven no problem at all. So I'm just piling all of the ingredients into the dish, and you can actually give the dish a little bit of a spray with some oil if you want to, but I haven't bothered here, and actually it did stick a tiny amount, but nothing that wouldn't have caused a problem, or would have caused a problem, sorry. Anyway, so all of the stuff is piled into the dish, and we just want to level it off a little bit so that it's nice and flat. And actually this recipe is just perfect for this size of pot as well, so it's just the right size. And this recipe serves 4 people I serve it with salad here, but I've also served it with vegetables too. So then I've got the breadcrumbs. Now I'm just using a tablespoon of breadcrumbs here, and these are the gluten-free ones from Asda, but obviously if you don't need to be gluten-free you don't have to use those, and just sprinkle them all over the top. I think with hindsight, and I think previously when I've done it, I used 2 tablespoons of breadcrumbs, so you know, to suit yourself really, but 1 tablespoon of breadcrumbs just gave like a little crunchy top to the dish. And then once you've got the breadcrumbs on there, what we want to do then is just pop the cheese on. So I'm just starting with the Parmesan cheese, and I am just sprinkling that across the top. And as I said earlier, I think it never ceases to amaze me how much 15 grams of Parmesan, if you finely grate it, really is. And it does go right across the top of this dish, and you're not stinting, and it doesn't feel mean or measly, the amount of cheese you're using. And then with the rest of the Gruyere, well, again, like I said, about a third I kept, and I'm just popping that all onto top of the Parmesan. And again, that will melt as it cooks and just provide a really lovely texture as you eat the dish. And then, as with everything I do with cheese that I put in the oven, I either put cayenne pepper or paprika on. And because I don't want this dish to be particularly spicy, this time I'm using paprika. And then we just need to pop that in an oven, 180 fan, for about half an hour or until it's golden brown. I will put the conversions for 180 fan down into the box below, and I'll also list the ingredients. So here it is out of the oven, and as you can see, that Gruyere that we put on the top has melted into little pools of loveliness on top, and the egg inside is bubbling all nicely around the edge. And you can see that a little bit more clearly here. The breadcrumbs have gone golden, and the paprika always helps that to happen as well. So this serves 4 people. I could easily probably eat half of it, to be fair, and but yeah, it serves 4 people. So here it is served up. So I've got a quarter of it here, and as you can see that it does quite hold itself. Just leave it in the dish for a few minutes before you serve up. And this is the Tian is 382 calories for that portion, and then I've served it with a salad, and so altogether this meal came to 431 calories. And trust me, it far outweighs the sum of its parts, if you get what I mean. There's some very simple ingredients here, but the flavour of it is really delicious. And it is even better, if I say so myself, the next day. And I've had this microwaved the next day, which is delicious. I've also had it cold the next day, and also warmed it up in the oven. So whatever you choose to do with it, it's a really lovely dish. So there we are. I hope you've enjoyed the recipe, and if you have, please give it a thumbs up. And if you are already a subscriber, thanks very much for supporting the channel. I really appreciate it. And if you're not yet a subscriber and you feel like you want to watch our recipes, meals of the week, and also food hauls, then please press the subscribe button. That'll be coming up soon, and it would be great to have you on board on our little Kitchen Spy family. Anyway, as always, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You take care. Stay safe. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.